Hi everyone, today I want to go over how you can use two cameras at the same time, that is your front-facing and rear-facing camera, to record with one device, namely your iPhone. If you were watching Apple's September event, Filmic Pro actually introduced this as a feature that they were going to build into the Filmic Pro app. This never happened, but they came out with an app just recently called DoubleTake that essentially does the same thing. What's interesting though, that you almost look at this app very differently as a standalone app than you would if it was something that was built into the Filmic Pro app, because Filmic Pro is so advanced from a filmmaking standpoint. As a standalone app, they seem to be entering more into the social media realm. And there are other apps actually that now offer similar features such as Mixcam. So what I'm going to do is basically compare those two apps, kind of give you an idea of what's out there now as far as this particular market and what's possible with shooting with the front-facing and rear-facing camera at the same time. Okay, so let me start with the DoubleTake app by Filmic Pro. As you can see, there are icons in each corner. I'll just cover each one. The bottom right corner is obvious. It's a recording button. So as soon as you're ready to record, you just press that button. It looks just like the Filmic Pro app in many ways. The top left is where your video files are stored, and if you're familiar with Filmic Pro, the interface is pretty much the same. You can swipe to the left if you want to delete it. You hit the check mark down below if you want to select it, and then you can save it to your library and so forth. The bottom left is where you set up your multiple camera options. I do not have an iPhone 11 Pro. I have an iPhone XS Max, so you're looking at the viewpoint of that phone. So let me go into that mode. As you can see here, I'm now able to see myself in selfie mode because that's the camera that I have selected. That is the front-facing camera. I can also go to widescreen. And it's prompting me to select confirm, so I'm selecting confirm. It opens up another window, which then enables me to record two separate videos at the same time, myself as well as the rear-facing camera that's showing me the wide-angle view. I'm going to go back to the camera views though for a second here. The other option on the top right is the telephoto option. So there's telephoto, that's wide, and then there's the selfie option. You can only record with two at the same time, so just a matter of choosing one or the other. So in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and just stick with wide, and then also choose the selfie option, and I'm going to click. No, actually, before I click confirm, what I'm going to do is also show you what the icon is in the top right corner. So in the top right corner, you'll see that you have different options. This is PIP, picture in picture. So in addition to recording the two different viewpoints separately and then editing them later in post-production, with PIP, you can actually record both at the same time. So if I click confirm, it's going to open up the recording option. And as you can see here, I now appear as a small image inside the larger image. And when you're ready, you just simply hit record, and the video will record both videos at the same time, which is pretty cool, right? Now, if you go up to the top again, you see here that you can switch to other views too. For example, the double pane option, so you can have your selfie on one side and the wide angle on the other, which is a nice option to have. And then also going back to discrete, which basically again allows you to record each view independently while at the same time still having different ways of viewing those independent recordings. This is what's new with the DoubleTake app. Now, what I wanted to do for this purpose though was also to compare what DoubleTake can do here with what you can do with the other app that I mentioned called Mixcam. So let's take a look at Mixcam. Okay, now I'm using the Mixcam app. This is an app that came out in September around the same time that Filmic Pro made its announcement. It also offers a dual cam option for recording video. It also offers options too for doing the same thing when taking photos or group photos or even when shooting loops. I'm going to go back to video, for example. That's more of a direct comparison than the Filmic Pro app. As you can see here, there's two views. I have the front-facing camera where I am, and there's also the view of my living room that I'm filming with the rear-facing camera. I cannot move myself around like Filmic Pro, so that's a little limiting, but The menu options along the bottom do give you a little bit more flexibility. For example, there's a double arrow option that allows you to flip back and forth between the both views, which I think is a nice option. There's also a little button on screen that allows you to use a telephoto option. So instead of having to tap on a different pane as in Filmic Pro, you can just tap on this little circle on screen. You also have additional templates for presenting the content in different ways. So for example, if I go ahead and tap on this menu here, and I'm going to go ahead to the beginning, you'll see that you'll have a wide variety of options. You can do a side-by-side, just like in Filmic Pro. You can do a side-by-side, but on a diagonal as an option. And here's the pip option, which also Filmic Pro has, that I already started with. And here's an option that's side-by-side, but that's more recessed. The kind of thing that you would see in, say, TikTok, which is very popular, most likely would be used vertically rather than horizontally. There's also the option to build frames around the two camera images. You can view these cameras asymmetrically, and you can view them asymmetrically, but also at different sizes. And you can also choose to have one with a frame and one without a frame. So what's obvious is that Mixcam was intended to be used on social media, whereas when Filmic Pro introduced it, it was intended to be a feature that was built inside the app. But what's really interesting is that Filmic Pro introduced a standalone app, which they're calling DoubleTake. And when you introduce a standalone app, you really kind of expect more from it. Because it appears that Filmic Pro is trying to enter into that social media realm by introducing a separate app this way. At least that's the way I see it. So that's why I thought I would make this comparison to see what you thought about the two. Of course, there are some obvious things. One, Filmic Pro app is free. DoubleTake is free, whereas Mixcam costs $4.99 for a yearly subscription. Anyway, my name is Tim Brown. I hope this was helpful. Hey, check me out next time.